to another episode of No Expectations. We took the week off so Jen could travel off into the mountains and break her routine, come back scatterbrained, and these are all the words that you described.
He is quoting me verbatim.
Right. And so we're trying to get ourselves back together. Well, I'm well together.
Always, he's always together.
But Jen's trying to find her way back to her place of contentment.
Yeah, I just threw off my ritual, my routine of meditation, and what I found is it's just all those anxious feelings and not being able to focus, and even the search for contentment. It's a search now, and it's not a finding.
Well, I think we should talk about what contentment is today.
Yeah.
We should define it and then think about what that is and what are we doing to ourselves in our daily lives that kind of strips away our ability to be calm and content with what we've got. Shall we?
Yeah.
You're listening to the podcast No Expectations, where we discuss all things spiritual. My name's Andrew, a lifelong Zen bodhisattva, recovering yogi, yoga instructor, and author, and I'm here with my friend and student, Jen.
I'm a busy mom, a cyclist. I love to spend time in nature and on my mountain bike, and a yogi. I've been asking myself bigger questions about being on a spiritual path, and I've been asking Andrew a lot of bigger questions about this journey. And we invite you to join us on it. Maybe we'll make you laugh, maybe we won't. No expectations.
So we're back. We're going to talk about contentment. And I'll be quite honest, it doesn't feel that Jen is very content today. We decided to go on a hike this morning to kind of like reconnect because she's been away for a week and I've been off doing stuff. And just, and if you've ever gone on an Andrew hike, it's more of a...
It's a fair statement to say I was not content with a speed run through the woods.
It's not the first time that we've ventured into the woods together, so I can't believe there's a surprise to be had here.
I knew what I was getting into, but it's always surprising to me. Just Andrew, he puts on his hiking shoes and he's on a race. I don't know where you're going, but we got there. We got there fast. And the point of this story is my blood sugar's a little bit low, and
you're a little saucy today.
I'm a little saucy today.
Yeah, I asked her to eat something, but she's being belligerent about that. So we'll see what happens today. Let's see if we can find our way to some sort of contentment. Let's talk about what that is. What is contentment to you?
Contentment. One of the definitions I found was peaceful satisfaction.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes I think a lot of people use the word happy to define contentment. I don't like that word because to me, happy is the opposite of sad. And, that's not what this is about. A couple of weeks ago on social, I had posted about contentment, and I always like to use the analogy of the ocean to describe contentment. Waves on the ocean, the highs, the peaks are places that we are finding joy. And then the valleys, the troughs of the wave, there's a sadness and the bad parts, right? And ideally what we want to try to find is where it's even, right? Where we're not thinking about the great times and the bad times. We're just thinking about kind of weighing everything equally and understanding that, there are going to be times that, things are going to come in and churn up the waters. But if we continue to work to think about everything equally, we'll be able to manage those turbulent times a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, and it takes work to realize where you're being content, right? And sometimes it is getting confused about happiness. Mm-hmm. Is that contentment to you? Is happiness content?
To me, it's not. I think the question is, can I be content in an unhappy situation? Is how I look at it. And, unhappy situation, I didn't get the promotion I thought I deserved, or, my kids aren't acting the way I want them to in this public space, and can I still be okay with it and feel that feeling of unhappiness? Yeah. I think for me that's the goal, or the difference between contentment and happy.
So when you think you're in a situation that is sadness, you let's just make sure I understand this right. So when you're in a sad situation, you want to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But what about in your happy situation? Do you want to be okay with that?
Yeah, I want to be okay with it, but not to the point where it shoots, a feeling that I have to keep chasing, that happiness feeling.
It's my idea of it is knowing how much is enough, and being happy there. Kind of, thinking about when you sit down to eat. There's a big whole table full of food. You don't sit there and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat until you can't fill up anymore. You just eat until you're done, right? And not trying to take more than you need, and being grateful for the things that are in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But realizing that, and I think that's the hard thing that a lot of us struggle with is when we're in a happy place, those moments seem to be very fleeting. Like when something good happens to us or whatever that is, or like, oh yeah, that was so great. You remember that time when I did this, or we speed walked through the woods really early in the morning and you were way behind me and I beat you there. That was so fun.
We had a great conversation.
Yeah, we had a
could
great
not hear a word you said.
But you kept saying yes the whole time.
Yeah, I did.
And you're like,
Sure.
That's a great idea. I remember that. But that seems very fleeting. But to you, who were behind me, you're very sad because
My heart rate was up a little bit.
your heart rate was up. But we spend, it seems the human nature is that we spend more time in the sadness,
Yeah.
right? Because it's more difficult to get out of that, in my opinion. I mean, because the happiness it goes by so quickly, but sadness, we can stay there for a long time if we allow it to.
I feel like we talked about this in the gratitude episode that we did, and the connection that gratitude and contentment have together is so close.
What is gratitude for you?
Gratitude, to show appreciation for and return kindness.
Right.
And I don't think you can do that. You can't have appreciation for something and return it in kindness if you're just not in the moment and you're not
But yeah, you have to be aware of it.
Constantly.
I think a lot of our lives are spent chasing, don't you think? Like chasing accolades or
money, women.
cars, men, whatever
Respect.
that is for you. Respect.
Yeah.
Chasing something.
Yeah.
And that sets up this idea that life is based on this conventional thought that it's all about gain or loss, success, failure, happiness, sadness. But we really just need to be simply working with as little desires as we can, and be grateful for those things, because there's always, if we let ourselves constantly chase, then we're going to set ourselves up for some unhappy places.
Yeah.
And that becomes problematic, right?
Yeah. If you think about contentment as peaceful satisfaction, as, going back to me kind of being off my ritual, with my vacation and schedules upside down, I have found that without that meditation ritual, my unpeaceful feelings start coming up, whether it's the anxiety or, then I'm missing something constantly going, whether it's, all the activities we have going on. It's really hard to be peaceful if I'm missing that link. And that link for me is my meditation ritual.
Right. And you've let all these other things add links to your chain too, to your thing of it's spring. There's so many things going on right now, activities and whatnot, and planning vacations. Those are links in our chain. Maybe there's more stress at work. There's more ideas that you need to do this and do that. And I think about the story of a Buddhist monk who every day would have to go beg for his food, as monks do, right? They're provided food by the community. And one day, a monk goes out into the street with his begging bowl, and he comes across a dog that's chained to a tree. And the dog is emaciated and hungry too. And the monk has a very small amount of food in his begging bowl, and the dog is aggressive and angry and lunges at the monk, and in doing so breaks the chain that has tethered him to the tree. And the monk is scared because the dog's lunging at him, but as soon as the chain breaks, the dog becomes docile and calm, right? And we do that to ourselves, just like the dog. We create that own chain.
Yeah.
We tether ourselves to this stuff. And if we can start to take the value out of these things, these things that really don't have any value in our lives. And I know we can all say, oh, I need to pay the rent, and I need to pay the gas bill, and I need
right.
to do all of that. I'm not denying any of that. But why do we give it so much space in our lives?
So much. All of it.
You know, like, do I have to drive the top of the line German automobile? Does that get me from point A to point B any different than if I just bought a typical, like, you know, basic Japanese model or you know, whatever I'm saying? It doesn't have to be all of those things. And I think that's the kind of the stuff that we do to ourselves, is that we put too much onus on these things that really aren't that important. And that causes us stress, that causes us anxiety, that causes us where we start to break away from things that we know work for us. And I'm not saying that's what happened with you, but these are how things start to present themselves slowly.
Yeah.
Right? So if you start to step away from your routine and then you let other things fill that space, then you look back and you're like, what have I done? Like, I filled this space with a bunch of things that don't really mean anything.
Yeah. And, you know, a big difference for me is there was a time in my life before I started this journey and really held myself accountable to a meditation ritual that I would be so far deep into this unhappiness or, you know, anxiety or, you know, just lack of contentment. That was a loud chair.
Sorry, that was a chair.
That was a chair. That it was harder. I don't even know at what point I could recognize it, that it wasn't breaking down my body and my physical senses and my, you know, mental senses. The difference now is I come back and I can immediately recognize how it's impacting my body. I can, you know, I see what's going on and I know the tool, you know, the solution for helping me get on track. And, you know, before it would just be a constant cycle of staying on this train of feeling scatterbrained.
Right, and that kind of opens up a thought, too, about when we start on that spiritual practice or meditation, that we want it to be some sort of goal-based. Like, I've got to get to this point to find enlightenment, and if I'm not doing this, or whatever that is, maybe it's not enlightenment, maybe it's a performance thing, you know, where, like, I need to be more mentally focused for playing my sport, or maybe, you know, I need to cultivate more braveness in my life, or, you know, whatever that is. And we start to kind of use that meditation tool as an idea, like we have to reach something, and then that becomes counterproductive.
End goal.
Yeah.
End goal meditation.
Because so then we start to actually the tool that we're trying to use to get away from being this seesaw
having
up and down.
Goals. Yeah.
You know, not able to find contentment when we're using a meditation tool as a way to actually make it worse. It becomes like a seeking mind, right? We're constantly looking for something, and it becomes positive and negative. And I have a lot of students talk to me about that. How was your session today? Oh, it was good. Oh, it was bad. And I always have to stop. Let's correct that. There are no good and bads.
Yeah.
This is not a positive, negative situation. This is, you have what you have. Okay? So don't show up and go, let me power through this. I'm sitting for 30 minutes. And one of them the other day said to me, we sat for 30 minutes. And they said, well, about 10 minutes of it was good. And I said, well, how did you know it was 10 minutes? Well, I don't know, it just felt like 10 minutes. But the rest of the 20 minutes was shite. And I was like, how'd you know 20 minutes was shite? It just felt like 20 minutes. But why, where do they get these things from?
Yeah.
So it's like pulling all of that away and not thinking about those things. Like, it's not always about good and bad.
Mm-mm.
And
can you be content in a space where, like in this example of meditating, 10 minutes were good, 20 minutes were bad? Are you content with both of those? Or do you feel like it was, did this practitioner feel like it was not as successful because I wasted time?
Because they're conditioned to the idea of good and bad.
Yeah.
And bad is a loss. And that their thoughts are that there's nothing to be learned in the loss. There's a whole lot more to be learned in the loss.
Always.
You think about, Buddha sat for 6 years in a meditation before he gained enlightenment. 6 years. Bodhidharma sat for 9 years facing a wall, may or may not have cut off his own eyelids because he was frustrated because he was falling asleep, so he wouldn't fall asleep.
Okay.
But 9 years. These were not gods. These were not some, transcendent beings.
Yeah.
These were normal people like you and I that were on a journey. So why does it always have to be good and bad? Because those guys, just like all humans, had good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And even after they found their enlightenment and their processes, there's plenty of delusions to be had there. I'm sure they still thought in that binary good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, okay, I need to find where those things are equal. Okay, so this is a shitty situation. There's nothing I can do about it, but I can't let it pull me down any further than it already has.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna wade through it, do the best I can, and then kind of rise back up. And the same thing with something that's happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this is really good. And I think it's taking that moment and that opportunity to say, this is good, and recognizing it. Because I think a lot of times we only recognize good or happy thoughts when they're past.
Kind of in the back, yeah.
And if I already left the building and we're too busy thinking, oh, what happened?
How do I get back to that?
And I want to get back there. And that's the thing is that you can never get back there, right? So then you chase, and then it becomes more seeking, more chasing. And it's a cycle.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that is if you can recognize when things are bad and know that it won't always be like this. It won't always be good. It won't always be bad. You're equipping yourself to be more content, knowing that, we're going to get through this.
Yeah, and I think, back to your thought about breaking away from your ritual and your practice, when you come back in, so you've been away for a week or whatever it is, or 2 weeks, and coming back in, you're going to have maybe some false starts. Things aren't going to be great, or they may be great.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get too far down in those things, and you can't accept the gifts that are provided in that practice as the only way to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We can't, it's like, just because it was a good day doesn't mean I'm always like, I've got to take that and I've got to run with that. And the next day's got to be even better. The next day's got to be even better.
No.
Just accept what you have. And that's what's going on in that meditation.
Yeah.
Being calm, being cool and happy there. When I talked, I guess you and I talked last week or the week before we left, I was thinking about that quote, and I may have posted it on social. Imagine looking back on our lives after we die. We'll see that so many things didn't matter. I think that's a really profound quote, in the fact that we spend so much of our lives wasted on thinking about or imagining things that are just not that worth the time and energy.
Things that don't happen, or things you have no control over. It is a very thought that strikes reflection in me.
Because I think about it in my own life. Like, there's so much stuff that, having conversations with people, and I'm like, then I go away and I think, well, maybe I didn't say that right, or da-da-da. I'm like, what's it matter?
Yeah.
What's it matter? And I mean, all this time that we spend thinking about money and accolades and titles and all those things, like really, at the end of the day, when we're gone, does it really matter?
No. What matters is how you lived your life and
Right.
how you made the people you love feel.
Right. And it's just the best you could, right? Instead of constantly feeling like you've got to worry about things that are just way out of your control.
Yeah. When I first read that quote, the feelings that went through my body were anxious. Because it triggered a part of me that is, let's now analyze, like, what are you doing? What are these things in your life that you can look back on that don't need to be there? And, it kind of gave me these anxious feelings where, maybe that's driving a lot of my scatterbrainness now is I'm thinking through all these tasks and events and to-dos in my to-do list and really knowing that I need to look at them and, like, some of them have to, like, scale back.
Yeah, I think that's okay to cut back the things that don't fulfill you. Mm-hmm. And I know that's difficult for a lot of people in their lives, right? Because they're chasing, like, and it can be anything. It just needs to make sure that you're not running yourself into the ground for something that's not worth the time. If it detracts from your ability to do the other things that really provide you some joy and being able to find that contentment, that evenness. If it causes you a lot of stress, then you really need to kind of reevaluate its purpose in your life. So contentment, it's a tough one to put your hands around. It is it's a constant battle for that steadiness.
Yeah.
And I think it's just becoming aware and being appreciative, finding gratitude, finding compassion too. When you like get to a spot where you're not, you're like struggling, like, okay, it's okay. Give yourself the moment, come back, recenter, and realize that that everything will pass, but you just can't get caught up in too much, the goods and the bads, and think about things equally, evenly, and enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. I dig it.
Good talk.
Thanks for listening to No Expectations, the podcast. We invite you to come join us and carry on the conversation at noexpectations.me, our new website, where we will be posting blog posts. We will link all of our episodes there, and you can follow us on our social media sites through the website.
All right, this is No Expectation Free Time with the squeaky chair. So we just kind of scat here having random conversations. What do you got, Jen?
Well, so I just want to go back to the hiking with Andrew conversation, where I don't know if I clearly communicated to you or our listeners, all 5 of you. So I invited Andrew to go hike with me this morning. This is me airing my grievances.
Where's the rant card?
Where's the rant card? I have it. You can't take it from me today. The next time we go on a hike together, I'm going to lead and you're going to walk my speed. That's it. That's all I had to say.
That's it. That's not even a rant. That's a statement.
It's a statement.
Well, all I can say is, like, get longer legs.
Okay. I did not need to burn 500 calories on an hour-long hike, but I did.
No one asked you to keep up.
No, but now you're having to deal with me.
Oh, so you're saying the quality of this podcast suffered because you couldn't manage your own ego out there?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Oh. Andrew, the teacher, has entered the chat.
I'm just curious, if that's what this is, right? Because he could have simply just said, "Hey, can you slow down?"
I could have.
Yeah.
I could have.
But you didn't.
I didn't.
So as we walked, we were having a teacher-student conversation, and an hour later, you come tell me that you probably didn't hear anything I said. So, I mean, I'm out there dropping knowledge bombs, and you're...
He probably said some really intuitive things that probably would have gotten me through that hike much better if I could hear it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know it was a single track trail, and I know that makes it difficult to walk side by side. When we got to a point where there was an open road, we could have walked side by side, but I said, hey, we can go right or we can go straight. Right's the single track, straight is the wide double track. You went with going right,
which was straight uphill that we ran.
There were some trees, so we didn't really run. We hopped over those trees.
The best part about that was the tree that we stopped to meditate on. So I'll forgive you for.
Oh, I didn't know this was a forgiveness. I thought this was just straight up rant.
We're just freeing it right now.
Okay. So, yeah. So I didn't know you were that upset about it.
I'm not. I'm just.
I think
my blood sugar is low.
It's the blood sugar is low.
I'm gonna eat my Cliff Bar.
Yeah.
And you can judge me about.
You're eating the wrapper too.
Yeah, probably. Damn.
So the quality of this is all hinged on your blood sugar level.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with my personality or my feelings about hiking with you at all.
Well, not that there's any expectations in life, but I feel like we had hiked together before.
I should have been pretty, if it was my fault.
It's not anyone's fault. It's nobody's fault.
Have you been told by people in your life that you hike with that it's fun to hike with you? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I can't really hear them because I'm so far ahead of them.
Fair.
I hike a lot by myself.
Oh, okay. I see why.
Yeah, because, I use that as a meditation too.
I can't understand how you can meditate while you're going at turbo speed.
I get so much done out there.
Yeah, at turbo speed?
At turbo speed mentally. It's just, I can get so many things sorted out.
Yeah. It's funny, but I find the same sorting out at slower speed. But, in a much different, like we're in the same space, but we just move so differently and find, same contentment.
I mean, if we had packs on, it would have been like maybe like a little bit slower, but not much.
I didn't have water, so maybe you were being kind to me.
We got to the river and you wouldn't drink. There's a safe chance you could have gotten E. coli.
Not looking for E. coli this morning would have made this podcast much different.
Well, yeah. If we'd recorded tomorrow. But I think it's the idea of, okay, you should have just said, hey, I need to slow down. It's okay to voice what you want.
Yeah.
You may not get it.
But it's a fair statement. I don't know why it didn't occur to me to tell you to slow down. I think I was just moving.
Yeah, we started, and I didn't give you any warning. We just go. As soon as we cross into the tree line,
we're out.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
And that's just how I go. So now, most people don't like walking with me. Then they like walking to the street with me because I walk so fast.
On a mission.
Huh?
On a mission.
Not so much on a mission. It's just, I'm absorbing all things in real time. Mm-hmm. And especially when I go in the woods, I find that to be very cleansing.
Yeah.
So, and very quiet. So yeah, it was nice to stop and meditate. There's a spot that we shared, and I hope maybe you got to breathe a little bit there. And
yeah, it was a much needed stop and be in the moment. Meditating in nature is pretty powerful if you allow it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I always find that you start to sense things in a more precise way. That everything's more heightened out there. So I really enjoy meditating. But yeah, for me, walking at a brisk pace.
Brisk. He says brisk.
I didn't think it was that fast. Huh.
I'll send you my average miles per hour.
Oh, you recorded it?
Yes, I did.
My heart rate monitor can't even keep up.
Sure.
Away. What else do you have to rant about?
That was all. I just had to get that out. And thank you for, telling me that it was my ego that was
I didn't. I was just, making it seemed like that was it. Like you feel like you had to keep up for what purpose?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just say, "Hey, let's slow down. I can't hear what you're saying."
Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know. Noted. Next time.
We've opened. That's very presumptuous of you.
It is.
Like there's going to be a next time. I mean, I want to hike with somebody that can actually
keep
walk. Why would I want to go slow?
Aggressive today on
Well,
this.
and so, I just got called out for walking fast.
First day of March. It's a beautiful.
Is that a thing?
It is.
I had no idea. Well, whatever ever happens, I am.
I am.
So, all right. Anything else before we?
That's literally all I had.
Okay. Enjoy your day.